So I just finished playing Resident Evil Requiem RE9, right? And I gotta tell y'all, out of all the Resident Evil games that I played, this one, this one was special, man. Now I just made a video probably a couple weeks ago talking about how I played Resident Evil 2 all the way to Resident Evil Village. And I enjoyed every single one of those games. Resident Evil 9 is basically the encapsulation of everything Resident Evil. From the OG games to 8. So, I actually played it. I think it's great. If you haven't played it, you should buy it. You should play it. Like, get it now. Get it on sale. You know what I'm saying? Do what you got to do. But play that game, bro. It's a very good game. You're going to have a good time, a good experience. And I would never tell y'all to buy something that I didn't buy. Anyway, IGN put out a video for Resident Evil 9 giving their review. I'm going to react to this, and I'm going to give my opinions on certain things that they say. That way we have something to go back and forth on. I think that'll be a little bit better than if I just sat here and talked about it like I did in my last video. Plus, the last video ain't do that great. I'm not going to lie. So, it's better if I just do a reaction and kind of give you my opinion. But we going to get into this, and yeah, we going to react. And I don't know what to say for the intro. Let's just get into the video, man.
Get away! Get away from me!
This section was very intense. Like, when I first got in this, I
Within
was
the hallways
so,
of the
like,
sinister sanatorium where Resident Evil Requiem's opening hours take
But I
place
expected
lies
it
some
at
of
the
the
same
most
time.
frightening encounters I've experienced in the series to date. With my headphones on and the lights off, the ninth mainline adventure in Capcom's long-running survival horror saga forced me to endure moments so palpably tense and prolonged, I discovered muscles to clench that I didn't previously know I had. Hours later, I was
That
no
still
longer
get
holding
me,
my
like-
breath, but holding my fist in the air instead, as I gleefully mowed down masses of undead meat sacks like it was D-Day in World War Z. In
Yo,
an effort to
Leon
please both survival
gameplay?
horror stalwarts and action horror advocates,
Chef's
Resident
kiss,
Evil
dog.
Requiem runs the gore-soaked gamut from anxiety-inducing chills to trigger happy thrills. The result is yet another supremely hair-raising horror story, despite the fact its most potent scares have all been delivered by the time it arrives at its more gloriously gung-ho second half. Not unlike 2023's Alan Wake 2, Resident Evil Requiem initially focuses on a young FBI agent. In this case, series newcomer Grace Ashcroft, a fresh-faced analyst who's sent to investigate a series of mysterious deaths among the survivors of Raccoon City, several decades after the 1998 outbreak.
We found another body. One that
I gotta
exhibits
say,
the
I
same
really
pathology
enjoyed
as the others
Grace's
we've been
character too.
investigating.
Like, she didn't get on my
Grace's
nerves
flashlight
as
lit
much
forensic search through the
as
grimy insides of a shuttered
some other
hotel is
protagonists
ultimately
had.
short-lived, however, since she's soon ensnared by Victor Gideon.
Hold on, let me say this. I know I don't want to keep pausing because you know one thing about my reactions, I do not like pausing. I don't like how suckers is on the internet talking about, oh my God, Grace is great, and she is, but they like, oh, Grace is great. We finally got away from boring ass Ethan. What we not gonna do is we not gonna insult that man Ethan Winters like he didn't go through the trenches for his wife and his daughter. We not gonna do that to my boy Ethan. Ethan was a great protagonist, faceless. You know what I'm saying? I know everybody wanted to see his face, and when we seen it, we were just like, he's just a generic white guy. Like, but Ethan was still a great protagonist. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Grace is better than Ethan. To be honest, I like, it's still too early for me to say that, but I will say that I do like Grace a lot. And it's understandable that you can like Grace more than Ethan, but we not gonna sit here and dog on my man Ethan and make it seem like he was the most boring character or nothing, because Ethan was far from boring in my opinion. But let's get back into the video. It's a little
Requiem's
side
main
tangent.
antagonist, whose menacing air, disgustingly disfigured face, and greasy goggles make him seem like some sort of steampunk Emperor Palpatine.
We have so much to do.
Yeah, He was just
Victor
choking
traps
people
Grace
out.
in the Rhodes Hill Chronic Care Centre, a Spencer Mansion-style labyrinth of locked doors crawling with all manner of flesh-eating freaks. But thankfully help is on the way in the form of uber-stylish series veteran Leon S. Kennedy. Survival horror's preeminent himbo has clearly seen better days. The strange bruising on his skin suggests he's battling some sort of affliction potentially related to T-virus exposure, while the shiny new Porsche he's driving implies he's also not immune to a midlife crisis.
Getting that money, man. Ain't nothing wrong with having a
But
nice
it's
car.
Grace who is the standout here. Resident Evil characters have historically exhibited an overly campy quality that's injected a large dose of goofiness amidst the gore. But for my money, this inexperienced FBI agent is by far the most relatably human heroine the series has ever had. Her evolution from being perpetually on the brink of a panic attack to becoming self-assured enough to fight back made for a journey that I found as captivating as it was consistently creepy.
I can agree.
Requiem allows us to alternate control between Grace and Leon at specific story junctions over the course of its roughly 10-hour campaign. But it's the former whose predominantly stealth-based sections are undoubtedly the most fear-inducing. Underpowered and under constant threat from twisted stalker ghouls that are liable to descend from the rafters at any moment, Grace's
This
efforts to
section
escape
right
from the terrors
here
of Victor's hospital
gave
is
me
a wonderfully
severe
stressful slab
anxiety.
of unrelenting survival horror. There's
Severe.
precious little ammo to find, a miserly number of inventory slots to manage, and Grace moves at such a slow speed that it makes timing your careful crouch walk to avoid a prowling pack of zombies an exercise in pinpoint path making. All the while you have to puzzle through a stimulating series of body part based riddles and elaborately locked doors, never really knowing when you're going to turn a corner and come face to flabby face with a grotesquely
that
girthy
too,
golem
dog.
that's urgently squeezing its way down the hallway towards you.
He was more annoying than the other guy. He was annoying
Nope.
more than the butcher.
No, thank you.
To be honest with you.
I spent so much time trying to steer clear of the numerous considerable threats that on the occasions Grace was forced into a confrontations, the results really rattled me. When played in the default claustrophobic first-person perspective, her guns feel genuinely startling to fire, and the impact of every...
Let me know if y'all played Grace's section in first or third person. I played Grace's in first person and Leon's in third person because that's what it said. That's what Capcom, I guess, originally intended it for it to be. Like that was the default settings. But I did see some people on YouTube play it in third person, and I understand because her sections was really like... It had me for a second thinking like, do I need to switch the camera? But I'm glad I played it in first person. I do want to play this game again in third person. I don't know if I'm gonna do Leon's in first person though. I don't know. Like, but I'm thinking about playing this again, both third person. Like this. Oh man, this is a good game, dog. This is such a good game.
Every precious pistol shot is immense. Bullets tear the festering flesh off zombie faces, leaving eyeballs to dangle from their stems. Yeah. And blood spatter paints the walls and persists even when you backtrack through the area later on. The gallons of gore that covers the floor isn't just there for spectacle, mind you, since Grace is equipped with a handy blood collector that allows her to syringe up the infected plasma pooling around zombie corpses, and combine it with other pieces of scrap to craft invaluable items like medkits and single-use hemolytic injectors. The latter can be
That
jammed into the
injector
spine of an
comes in
undead
clutch,
monster
bro,
caught
I tell
unaware, causing their entire body to swell up and explode in the most
some of these
gloriously
people will come back
blood-soaked
to
manner of
life
stealth
on you.
kill possible. But you can also use it to effectively dispose of a body you've downed previously.
Yeah.
I found that to be a smart move in areas I knew I'd be revisiting, since Requiem zombies also have a terrifying tendency to reanimate and mutate when you least expect them to. Grace's quest only grows more intense as it takes her through the suffocating shadows of the hospital's basement and beyond, but moving through Requiem's danger-filled surroundings at a snail's pace didn't just keep my nerves on edge, it allowed me to observe and appreciate the efforts that Capcom has put into enhancing the eerie behavior of its undead army. These are no longer the groaning, foot-dragging mouth breathers encountered during the original Raccoon City outbreak. Instead, they retain traces of humanity that somehow makes them seem far more unsettling than the more animalistic werewolves in Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, you got the
like
light
the ones
dude,
that
you
idly
got the
flick
cook,
light
you
switches
got
on and
the
off like
cleaning
bored
lady,
toddlers, or the others
the
that
freaking
wander around
singers.
muttering and laughing to themselves before suddenly collapsing to their knees to hungrily feast on the corpse of one of their former friends.
This is giving me
Mr.
anxiety
Kennedy,
just
we
looking
need
at
to
it
leave
again.
immediately.
What's going on?
I don't know what's happening. Some kind of mass hysteria.
While Grace's plight is a desperate and deliberate crawl that had me second-guessing every shadow, the ominous sounds of silence are shattered by the roar of ferocious ultraviolence when you switch control to Leon for what are initially brief tension-breaking bursts, as everyone's favourite former RCPD recruit attempts a not-so-subtle rescue mission. These levels default to a third-person view to really show off the slaughter, and within minutes of his arrival I'd slipped comfortably back into Resident Evil 4 mode, nailing headshots and ending
4
the
and
undead
6,
with effortless
honestly.
execution moves.
I like 6.
To my surprise, however, Requiem quickly pushes the insanity meter beyond Resident Evil 4 into Dead Rising levels of delirium
That's what I was
by
thinking
allowing
of,
Leon
Dead
to actually
Rising.
wield a
This is exactly
chainsaw to
what this
carve
reminded
through
me.
the
This
zombie
and Lollipop
crowds.
Chainsaw. I had so much fun
Leon's
using the
sections are
chainsaw, cutting
up-tempo
them
and
down
gruesome
stuff
to a
like
degree
that. But
that
it was
left
so
me
annoying
giddy,
when the zombies
and almost
had
every
it.
major zombie Leon dispatches is met with a delightfully deadpan dad joke.
I think I want a second opinion.
Where Grace must use the scarce amounts of scrap in her surroundings to make her own rapidly destructible knives, Leon is toting a powerful hatchet that can be easily maintained with an everlasting flint. While Grace has to carefully count each round in her small handful of handguns, Leon enjoys an extensive bevy of teeth-rattling boomsticks from beefy shotguns to head-splitting sniper rifles. Plus, if Leon gets bored of his own weapons, he can use someone else's. After killing a zombie who drops a fire axe or lead pipe, he has the option to smoothly scoop it up and launch it at—
Yo, call it like this might seem like so left field. This game and this atmosphere, especially being able to pick up the weapons and like throw it at people, it remind me so much of Arkham Knight. Like this setting right here reminds me of Arkham Knight, and being able to like pick up like, I don't know, axes and bats and stuff like that, and being able to throw it at them reminded me of like when Batman would pick up the bats that the enemies would use, and he would like swing and hit them with it. Like it's like something about it feels familiar, but it's also a new experience, and that's what I really like. And I don't know if anybody else picked up on that, but that's something that I picked up on. Like this is very Arkham Knight-ish feeling.
another enemy nearby, which is every bit as slick and
Especially that
satisfying
first
as the
section
similar
of the,
sword-flinging feature
with
of
the
last
diner
year's
and all
Ghost
that.
of Yotei. Simply put, there's no off position on Leon's ass-kicking switch. And in addition to his surging slaughter of zombie hordes, it's also within Leon's levels that the bulk of Requiem's appropriately epic boss encounters take place. There are plenty of colossal clashes to be found here, from brand new behemoths to brilliantly reimagined threats from previous Resident Evil stories. And there isn't a single Del Lago-sized dud among them.
Ooh.
I particularly loved how this hulking nasty subverted my expectations of how a Resident Evil boss fight should play out.
This was a fun boss, I'm not gonna lie.
Sure, being tasked with blasting the glowing weak points that cover a marauding monster's torso is nothing new. That is, until you realise that while piercing each swollen blister does inflict damage to the beast, it also spews streams of infection onto the zombie underlings around him, instantly mutating them into brawnier forms of backup for you to contend with.
Turning the blister heads. That was the only
Leon may
annoying
be
part.
armed to the teeth, but that doesn't mean Requiem doesn't still find
But
creative
it was
ways to ramp
satisfying
up
watching
the
that
challenge.
blood go psst, like splatter.
Playing as Leon is such a consistently violent delight that it's a little disappointing that the Mercenaries mode isn't a feature of Requiem after its welcome inclusion in 2021's Resident Evil Village. Come on, Capcom. You're going to give me a version of Leon who can violently split skulls with a hatchet and do a lumbering Leatherface impersonation with a swinging chainsaw, and you're not going to allow me to unleash him in a score-chasing time attack mode?
DLC.
Here's hoping it will be
It'll
patched
be in
in
the
as a
DLC.
post-launch addition like the free update that Capcom eventually provided for the Resident Evil 4 remake.
It'll definitely be DLC, my boy.
As much as I love Leon though, I do wonder if perhaps his sections become a bit too dominant once Requiem settles into a more action-oriented groove in its second half, as the story moves beyond the grounds of Rhodes Hill and deep into what remains of Raccoon City. Let me be clear, Resident Evil 4 is my personal favourite installment in the series, so it certainly gave me a great deal of pleasure to once again wield a military-grade arsenal and pull off skull-shattering
4, I do like 4 a lot. I see a lot of people say they like Resident Evil 4 as their favorite. 4 is definitely tough though, like don't get me wrong. It's either 4 or 5. Or it actually might be 4 or 8. Honestly, if I'm being honest, it either might be 4 or 8. But with this game coming out, this definitely I'm definitely considering this being the best one. I know that might sound crazy. 2 was good. Really like 2. But that's when I first got into it, and it felt like a slug. Oh my god, all this backtracking, all these puzzles. I really was being like a ball and gun gamer about it, and I'm not even a ball and gun gamer per se. I was just being like extra about it. But once I got to like Claire's story and stuff, I really liked Claire's story a lot. So I enjoyed 2. Like 2 was good. 3, I thought 3 was good. I know a lot of people was like 3 is so much stuff got cut out and it was a terrible remake and short, simple, to the point. I love 2. I made 3. I love 3. 4, really good. I think 4 is probably overall the best in terms of like the action type series. 5, really good. I need them to do a remake because that AI ain't shit. Sheva is trash as AI. Like, she was dying and getting cut open by chainsaw. Man, it was just too much. 6 was cool. 6 was just long because it had different stories, but 6 was fine. I didn't have that many problems with 6. Like, it wasn't that annoying like everybody else made it seem like. 7 was scary. That's the scariest one. I stand by that. Like, this and 7, the 2 scariest ones. And 8 was like a mixture of 4 and 7, which is good. And then you got this, which is like a encapsulation of everything. You got elements of 2, elements of 3, elements of 4. Not 5, because there's no co-op. 6, there's elements of 6. 7 with Grace's first person point of view and all that in the horror sections. 8, you know what I'm saying? So this might be my favorite one. I like, it might be recency bias or something, but this might be my favorite one. Like, no cap.
Finishing moves as the series' hunkiest mutant murderer. But after playing almost exclusively as Leon through a roughly 5-hour stretch towards Requiem's conclusion, I did find myself yearning for a few more tastes of Grace's superbly nerve-shredding stealth sections as a more regular change-up from Leon's comparatively scare-free carnage.
Yeah, that's why I said
that
this
desire
is a good
was
balance
eventually
of both.
gratified to some extent by a terrifyingly taut late-game tiptoe through a facility crawling with some truly menacing monsters returning from the series' past. But given that the story ended soon afterwards, my overriding impression of Requiem that it was very much a game of 2 halves. The former predominantly a slow and steady scare-a-thon, and the latter largely a run-and-gun splatterfest.
Which I enjoyed.
I very much enjoyed both flavours in their own right.
Yes.
I just wish for the sake of its pacing that they'd been blended together a touch more over the full course of the journey. Instead, Requiem is a bit like ordering a whiskey and coke, and having it served in 2 separate glasses instead of being mixed into one.
That's an interesting
To be fair,
way to put
Grace's
it.
absence from a significant...
I think it's kind of like, honestly, the only way I could probably say that, like, I like the fact that they did it like that. I think they did it just enough. Like, I felt like we spent a little bit more time with Grace than we did with Leon, for real. And I think the only thing that made, like, this game, the biggest drag in this game is just finding that damn detonator. Like, as a somewhat kind of not anymore arachnophobiac, that giant Titan spinner spider section, for I know I'm spoiling it, I'm sorry, but I'm helping y'all out. If you have arachnophobia, there is a section. There's only one section where you have to fight a giant spider, Titan-sized spider. And that gave me, like, that had my heart feeling like, oh my god. But it was fun at the same time. It felt so satisfying killing that spider. Like, Leon's section in Raccoon City seemed so long because of that boss fight and then finding the detonator. Outside of that, I feel like we spent more time with Grace, and I had fun playing with Grace. Like, I didn't dislike Grace at all. I thought she was really fun to play with. And I definitely got to run this game back at some point. I don't know if I'm running back right away, because there's more games that's about to come out, but I definitely want to run this back.
significant stretch of Requiem is justified within the
This
context
game
of
definitely
the
like a
story,
9 out of 10.
and overall it's a tale that gripped
9.5.
me harder than a zombie
It could
nurse
be a 10.
gnawing on my nose. There are a number of blindsiding twists that cast new
This
light
game
on the
is
origins of the
up there,
Umbrella
though.
Corporation and the ambitions of its founder, along with an excellent mix of zombie-riddled locations both fresh and familiar to puzzle and pummel your way through, and plenty of vital notes to collect along the way. Some of these memos are crucial to understanding the intriguing mystery behind Grace's abduction and the truth about her past, while others are just genuinely funny gags to help ease the tension. After encountering a specific zombie type in one medical wing that was obnoxiously singing at the top of her lungs, I got a good laugh out of uncovering a doctor's report that had diagnosed her with main character syndrome. There's also one particularly iconic location that Leon explores that I'm reluctant to spoil here, but it's jam-packed with fun Easter eggs that made it a real thrill to revisit, as someone who's been enjoying Resident Evil adventures ever since the T-Virus made its first outbreak on a black-bottom CD for the original PlayStation.
Yeah,
Stop it.
For real,
Don't
for real.
open that
He been
door.
playing since PS1.
But Chris is.
Let's see what the score hitting on, man.
Like the result of an experiment conducted in an underground Umbrella Corporation lab, Resident Evil Requiem successfully splices two separate strains of survival horror together into the one highly infectious new mutation. It signals the return of a series legend and the arrival of a likable new lead, amps up the gore to a new stomach-turning standard, and unleashes a scarier breed of zombie alongside some truly beastly boss fights. The lack of any meaningful side content like the Mercenaries mode is a touch disappointing, and I do wonder if a slightly more consistent balance could have been struck with the ebb and flow from jaw-clenching moments of tension to all-out assault, rather than front-loading the story with frights before giving way to a more bullet-riddled back half. Even so, from my first trembling steps into its shadows all the way to the tremendous Titan-sized takedown at its climax, Resident Evil Requiem kept me completely absorbed.
I'm gonna give my score again because I know I said it's like I didn't have a damn, I'm stuttering. I didn't have a proper score. I said it's like a 9.5. I'm gonna say this game is a 9. It's a 9. The reason why it's a 9, really good pacing, very short. Games be long as shit nowadays. I appreciate a short game. Very short. Very concise, interesting story. Like, I was addicted to that. I beat this game in 2 days. I love games that you could beat in like 8 hours. That's like PS2 shit. Like 8 hours, 2 days, 3 days. We don't need these long 100+ hour games all the time. In fact, I'm getting very, very tired. I need more linear games like this for real. Like, say those open world games for like GTA, Spider-Man, and like Zelda, like things like that where you can get it, like maybe Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Yote, where you can get around the map a little bit like easier with like transportation and stuff like that. But this game is a 9.5. I'm gonna stick with that. If they say anything under 9, it's not valid in my opinion.
And consistently entertained, whether it was all hair-raising or all.
IGN. I thought y'all was about to sell the bag and be like, this game is an 8.5. But I'd be like, nah. This is 9 perfectly encapsulates how I feel. It's amazing. Play it. If you haven't played it, buy it. If you can't buy it, rent it. Go to the library, rent it. Like, they rent games at the libraries. Like, for those of y'all that don't like to read or go to the library, they rent games at the library. You can rent the game. Like, do what you gotta do. Play it at a friend's house. This is a good-ass game. Like, this is definitely going to get nominated. It may not win, because we still got GTA, we still got Wolverine, we still got Pragmatic, we still got all these games that are coming out. But this game right here definitely should be nominated for Game of the Year.
All guns blazing.
Definitely. Like that.
For more IGN reviews, check out our verdicts on God of War Sons of Sparta and Reanimal. And for everything else, stick with IGN.